Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is continuing to reject from this major resistance in the short term, but still in a sideways price range in the short term, bouncing around sideways, taking out liquidation levels to the downside and to the upside, which we need to pay attention to on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, as Ethereum is continuing the rejection from this significant area of resistance that I've been warning about, while the price of Solana is still playing out the short-term warning signal, and the price of Chainlink is also exactly rejecting from this major area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And of course, on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a possible bearish divergence to watch out for, which is forming but not confirmed. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, in the immediate short term, we're still losing some bullish momentum, but overall looking more bullish than bearish, still in a bullish trend, just losing a little bit of momentum in the shorter term. And on this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we still have an active cup and handle pattern, a bullish price pattern, which is once again technically still active, because in order to invalidate this price pattern and invalidate the price target, we would need to see a 3-day candle close back below this line right here, which is sitting at around 110,000. And so overall, on the larger time frames, not much has changed over the last one day. We're still in a larger bull market, obviously, but just in the shorter term, losing a little bit of bullish momentum, cooling off a little bit. And obviously, that's also thanks to the fact that we're running into major resistance sitting in the low $120,000 area. So basically in between around 120,000 to 123,000. As I've been saying since before we actually hit this area, expect the price to struggle a lot around this area on the price chart right here. Basically struggle to go further towards the upside and possibly reject from this area right here. And obviously what we have seen since I've been saying that since before we reached that area, that's exactly what has now been playing out as predicted. And so while the price of Bitcoin is still trying to play out a bullish trend, still in a larger bull market, but struggling around this significant resistance, this is ultimately causing some sideways price action in the short term, because we're not really bearish. We don't have a lot of bearish momentum, but this resistance is causing the price to basically not go further towards the upside, at least in the short term, causing a bit of a stalemate in the short term and some sideways price action. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, we can see that right now we have important support and resistance to watch out for. And this resistance is basically the lower area of that larger area of resistance in between 120,000 to 123,000. This area on the 4-hour time frame I've got here in between 120,000 to around 121,000. So in the immediate short term, that is the area of resistance to focus on, and we could see multiple rejections from this area, as we could see. But on the other hand, we also have a lot of bounces from this area of support, which is sitting in between around 116,000 to 117,000. So in that area right there, expect a lot of support in the short term. Previously and over the last 1 week or so, we've seen a lot of support in that exact price range. And so obviously in the immediate short term, we're looking extremely neutral, just bouncing around sideways in a sideways price range. But clearly this is during a much larger bull market. So if we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, like the weekly time frame, we're still looking extremely bullish on the weekly chart with a larger bull market. It's just in the immediate short term, as in over the next few days or so, it's likely we're just going to bounce around sideways for a little longer in this sideways price range in the short term. And believe it or not, you can actually make a lot of easy profits from choppy sideways price action just like this. And if you want to know more about that, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. But first, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And while the price is just bouncing around sideways in this sideways price range, obviously we're taking out liquidity both to the downside and to the upside here. And so first of all, a few days ago, we took out some liquidity at around 116.7k, and then also at around 116.2k to 116.3k. And now we have a small amount building at around 115.8 to 115.9k. But the main area of liquidity to watch out for is at roughly 121,000. But obviously, just before we can hit that level level, we have a lot of resistance starting in between 120,000 to 121,000. But over the last one day, we can see that the price did take out some liquidity at close to 120,000. So overall, the price is just bouncing around, taking out over leveraged long positions and over leveraged short positions, while the price is just bouncing around in this sideways price range. And so overall, those are my exact predictions in the short term. Expect more bounces close to this area of support and more rejections close to this area of resistance, remaining in a bit more of a sideways price range, at least for the next few days or so, but still within a much larger bull market. And this period in the market is the time where you need to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of the next major trading opportunity. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, up to 40,000 USD in trading bonuses. And also, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account completely for free just by making an account using that link below this video and making that deposit. You get a free $200 bonus. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well do this. Once again, first link below this video, and you can only claim these bonuses here if you actually use that link below this video. So once again, you might as well do that if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page where you can also claim some massive trading bonuses. For example, up to $50,000 in trading bonuses, and also a $30 sign up bonus and a 20% deposit rebate up to a max of 200 USDT. So for example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your 2bit account. But once again, only if you use that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, check this out. First and second link below this video once again. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance price chart on the 3-day time frame, and in the immediate short term, obviously we're experiencing a slight bounce right now in the Bitcoin dominance, causing a slight little pullback in some of the altcoin market. But overall, technically speaking, the bearish divergence is still currently active on this 3-day Bitcoin dominance price chart. And perhaps we're just seeing a little bit of a short-term bounce in the Bitcoin dominance due to the fact that we did reach oversold in the 3-day Bitcoin dominance RSI. And also we did run into a bit of previous support here, as we could see, currently bouncing from that level. But overall, the price structure, considering we've just created a lower low and still actively playing out bearish divergence, the trend or the price structure is still currently pointing in the bearish direction, despite seeing a bit of a short-term bounce, maybe along the way towards the downside. And so while this bearish divergence is still active on this Bitcoin dominance price chart, technically speaking, this is still good news overall for the altcoin market when we're talking about the next few weeks or possibly months. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, obviously just over the last couple of days or so, Ethereum has perfectly rejected from extremely close to the exact area of resistance that I've been warning about for a long time now on the channel. Obviously, since much lower prices, like for example, once we broke out above 2.8k, I said it's extremely likely we'll continue up towards close to 3.9k and start to find a lot of resistance, a lot of struggle, and most likely a rejection from that area. And obviously over the last half a week since before we started to reject from this area, I've been saying expect a lot of profit taking very, very soon for Ethereum, because that's exactly what we saw right here after a major bullish move. Usually when Ethereum has a major bullish move, not long after that move, we see a lot of the traders take profits out of their position. For example, if you bought Ethereum here or longed Ethereum here at this breakout, of course, this would be the area on the price chart that would make the most sense to at least take some profits. And if a lot of people are doing that all at once, that's going to cause the price to struggle or possibly pull back a little bit in the short term. But keep in mind, this perhaps is just a short-term cool-off during a much larger bullish trend, maybe like what we saw right here, for example, bouncing around sideways a little bit, playing out a bit of a pullback in the short term during a much larger bullish movement. So keep that in mind. Ultimately, we may end up breaking out above this resistance later on, but for now, in the shorter term, and most likely for the next 1 or 2 weeks or so, it is likely we'll continue to struggle underneath this area of resistance. And in case you're new to the channel, this area of resistance that I've been warning about is sitting in between roughly 3.9k to 4.1k. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, the price is potentially coming in for a retest of previous resistance, now flipping into new support at approximately 3.5k is the first major support level I'll now be watching. But if we actually break back below 3.5k, in that situation, I'd expect more support in between 3.2k to 3.3k, and below that level, significant support in between 2.7k to 2.8k. If the price would actually get back down there. But I don't necessarily expect the price to go all the way back down there, because obviously we first have these first major support levels to focus on. And while the price is struggling around this major area of resistance here, seeing a lot of profit taking in the short term, causing the price to struggle in the short term, another thing that's causing the price to struggle a little bit in the short term is, of course, this short term warning signal that I've been warning about over the last few days, telling you it's extremely likely now that we're going to see a slight pullback, or at best some choppy sideways price action, thanks to this new bearish divergence, which is still actively playing out, as I've already been warning about over the last few days. And so for now, while this is playing out, once again, just expect the price to struggle a little bit in the short term. As I've already been saying, do not be surprised if we see a little bit more of a pullback, or at best maybe a bit of a sideways consolidation, but basically lacking significant bullish momentum, at least for the next few days, possibly for a number of weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, thanks to significant resistance right here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, Solana is now retesting this previous major area of resistance, the golden pocket, sitting in between around $191 to $199. And over the last 1 day, we technically just confirmed a breakout with a daily candle close above 199, above 200, and that daily candle close was sitting at around almost $206. But if we now confirm this daily candle close back below really $190, give or take, in that situation, that would already invalidate that breakout towards the upside. And in that situation, the next support I'll be watching is in between 180 to 185, based on this previous resistance here, these previous highs flipping into new support in between, once again, 180 to 185. And below that area, I would expect major support at 167 if the price would actually get back down there. But for now, obviously, we're still waiting for confirmation to actually invalidate that breakout. For all we know, we may end up confirming this candle close back above around 190 to 191. In that situation, obviously, this may end up just being a retest, flipping previous resistance, this golden pocket here, into new support. But either way, whether we retest and actually bounce from this level, or whether we break back below $190, technically speaking, the much larger trend at play, or the much larger price structure, is still currently bullish. We're still forming significant higher lows and higher highs on the price chart, as we can see. So overall, we're still within a larger bullish trend. It's just in the immediate short term, we're taking a bit of a break, a bit of a short-term setback, along with the rest of the crypto market. And if we're taking a look at this 2-hour Solana price chart, obviously one of the main reasons why that is happening, alongside the fact that Solana is heavily correlated to a lot of the other altcoins, is due to the fact that we have a short-term warning signal, a short-term bearish divergence still actively playing out. And so exactly like what I just said for Ethereum in the short term, this short-term bearish divergence for Solana also means that we're most likely going to see either a little bit more of a pullback in the short term, or at best some choppy sideways price action. So expect those outcomes as the most likely outcomes here in the short term, most likely for 1 or 2 days or so, considering this is only on the 2-hour time frame. And so overall, we're still looking very bullish in terms of the much larger trend. But remember, a larger bullish trend can contain short-term pullbacks along the way. So that's simply what we're seeing right now, due to some short-term warning signals. And if we're taking a look at XRP on the weekly time frame, we have a massive bearish divergence forming on the weekly time frame, with higher highs confirmed in the price in the candle closes and lower highs forming in the weekly XRP RSI. And due to the fact that it's extremely unlikely it would form a new higher high in the weekly RSI, what this means is that it's very, very likely will ultimately confirm this bearish divergence on the weekly time frame at some stage, maybe in a couple of weeks from now, maybe in a couple of months from now. But either way, it is extremely likely that this bearish divergence at some point will end up confirming. And once that confirmation signal signal actually happens. Of course, I'll let you know about it here on the channel as soon as it happens. And when that actually happens, ultimately that would likely cause a larger correction in the price of XRP. But for now, technically it's not yet confirmed, just possibly forming. And based on these Fibonacci extension levels on the weekly time frame, I'd expect significant support at roughly $3 and also significant resistance at around $4.60 to $4.70. But if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, at least for now, we're potentially starting to break below this previous level of resistance here, which in the shorter term for the last 1 week or so was acting as support, sitting in between around $3.30 to $3.40. And so if we end up seeing a daily candle close back below $3.30, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flip it into new resistance again, then obviously that would be bearish price structure. And in that situation, if we actually confirm a break back to the downside here, in that situation would likely see a continued drop back down towards around $3 to $3.10. So in the lower $3 area is the next likely target if we first actually confirm the break back below this area. And as I always say, XRP along with a lot of the major altcoins are highly correlated to each other. So with Ethereum, for example, running into significant resistance, playing out a short-term bearish divergence, with Bitcoin struggling a little bit in the short term, the Bitcoin dominance seeing a slight little bounce, so not that good for the altcoins in the immediate short term while that bounce is happening. Then of course with Solana also playing out that bearish divergence. With all of this happening, of course that's not really going to be helpful for XRP and a lot of the other major altcoins out there. And so that's the situation for XRP right now. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is now actually retesting this previous significant area of resistance to possibly flip it into new support, and that's sitting in between $17.50 to $18. And so far, as of recording this video, we are currently finding a little bit of short-term support around this area, which at least so far is some good news. But obviously we're still kind of in that test phase, so we have to wait and see if we actually confirm a proper bounce here. And obviously if we actually hold above this area and bounce from this area, that would be extremely bullish for the price of Chainlink, flipping previous significant resistance into new support. Obviously that is bullish price structure, and in that situation we can just continue the larger breakout here towards the upside. But if we were to actually confirm candle closes on the daily time frame back below $17.50, then at least in the shorter term for the next couple of weeks or so, that would be bad news for the price of Chainlink. And of course, one of the main reasons as to why we turned around on the price chart at this exact level right here is because we ran into my exact resistance that I've been warning about for a long time now on the channel, sitting in between around $20 to $21. And as soon as the price reached just above $20 into my exact area where I said we're most likely going to reject from that area, that's exactly where the price rejected from, as we could see, because the golden pocket area of resistance is the most important Fibonacci area on the price chart. So once again, continue to expect a lot of resistance, a lot of struggle in this area in between $20 to $21. And then only if we confirm a breakout, ideally above 21 with daily candle closes above that level, in that situation, then we can expect a continued bullish move up towards roughly $24 as the next Fibonacci level. And as for support to watch out for, now that we're obviously playing out that rejection from the golden pocket, expect a lot of support around this level right here based on the previous 50% retracement level, which previously was important support and also important resistance, and that's sitting at around $17.60 approximately. So once again, in between roughly $17.50 to $18, that is the key area of support to focus on right now. And if we were to break back below around $17.50, in that situation, we could potentially see a move back down towards roughly $15.50 if we first confirm daily candle closes back below $17.50 and fail to get back above that area. But for now, obviously, that's not yet happened. Still expect support in between $17.50 to $18, and the larger trend at play, no matter what happens in the short term, the larger trend is still technically bullish, forming higher lows and higher highs. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, obviously, like a lot of other cryptos I've talked about in this video, Chainlink is also playing out a short-term bearish divergence with higher highs confirmed in the price and lower highs confirmed in the 4-hour Chainlink RSI. And so as always, a bearish divergence means we're most likely going to see either a short-term pullback or at best a bit of choppy sideways price action as the most likely outcomes, the most common outcomes from a bearish divergence. And considering this is on the 4-hour time frame, it'll most likely play out over the next couple of days or so as a very likely scenario. And so that is what is currently playing out in the shorter term and the key levels to watch out for Chainlink and a lot of the other crypto assets. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links to those exchanges. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit during bullish or bearish price action using long positions or shorts positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit during choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.